All right, so here's a clip from Friday Night Tights called Running on Fumes. Marvel brought back RDJ to save Avengers Doomsday. What happens next? I mean, these are the same guys that have been asking for RDJ to come back, the same people that have been asking Chris Evans to come back. So I'm not really certain why they're so salty that it's happening, because this has been the foundation of their arguments. Is it's the MCU. Get woke, go broke. They just wanted to go back to what it was. And in today's lineup, we have Nerdrotic, D-Day Cobra Jeremy, Heel versus Thumbs, Ryan Kennel, Disparu, Fake Wizard, which a lot of people have told me to watch Fake Wizard, Real Fake Wizard, Rags, Quarter Black Garrett, Shad, and Comics Division. All right, let's see.
CinemaCon happened this weekend. Disney decided to go out by flexing a little bit. Rob Liefeld was pointing this out. I did not intend to ratio him. But
arguing about ratios and cheering about ratios as a functioning adult is so weird, especially when you're my age, bro. Like, why are you flexing about a ratio? Really?
Rob Liefeld's a front runner. That's what he absolutely, that all he sees is success and not like what's behind it. He's like, this made a lot of money. This is awesome. And I hope he doesn't get invited to another party by Kevin Feige and goes on a year-long screech about it. But yeah, this is just the Marvel part. You can keep this up. But they said they made $6.6 billion in 2025. Marvel, over the course of its time, has made $33 billion, which is great. What have you done for me lately? The question.
Yeah, that's the goalpost. What have you done for me lately? So they made $33 billion. There's going to be no other, if we're talking about money, because that's what they're talking about. My love of something is never evaluated by how much money it makes. But this is what they're talking about. So let's play on their field, okay? What have you done for me lately? There's no other franchise in the world that will ever get close to $33 billion in our lifetimes. An individual franchise like the MCU, $33 billion by itself. But sure, what have you done for me lately?
Is how much profit has Disney made from last year? Like, what was the money that they brought in?
Right.
Because laying off thousands of people tells me you aren't doing that well, because you wouldn't need to.
No. That doesn't tell you anything. You have no proof. This is trust me, bro, logic. Again, you don't have proof of anything. You're saying it tells me. It tells me this. No, it doesn't. Or what it should be telling everybody out there is that AI is going to be filling in jobs for people. They don't want to pay health care, which is why so many people are now down to work for hire. This we know, because that's why Warner Brothers did what they did. That's why Netflix did what they did. They took things down off of their streaming service and got rid of people so they didn't have to pay for their health care. I covered this like over a year ago. So by removing people from a regular job and putting them for a like pay per gig job means that they don't have to pay for that person's health care. We saw them, they moved their studios from Atlanta to the UK because the UK has universal health care and they didn't want to pay health care for people in Atlanta. That was something, that's a story that we read. I talked about this on the Nerdcast. So they moved people from Atlanta to the UK because the UK covers healthcare for people and they don't have to pay for it. Not having universal healthcare in this country has a bigger impact on jobs than people even know. It has a massive impact on jobs. So if we're talking about them not making enough money or there's not enough income or whatever, if that's what it's telling you, then you're not paying attention and you're not as smart as the people in your audience think you are.
Do that if you were really successful. And as Jeremy and Ryan and Park Hoppin has pointed out, what
I also want to mention this. If you're telling me that a company made $33 billion and you're still questioning whether or not they're successful, it might be a grift. You might be a scammer. You might be scamming your audience. If you can say a company can make $33 billion and still not turn a profit, it might be fake. It might not be real.
What's carried Disney over these years is their experiences, their cruise ships, their parks. That's been where the profit comes from. Their actual studio doesn't.
Oh, so now Nerdrotic is saying it. Remember Jesterbell said this the other day? Now they're admitting. So now we have this big $33 billion number. They can no longer argue like, oh, well, maybe it's not profitable. They can't say that now because now we have these big like fucking displays from CinemaCon that show how much money they made. So we're not even going to argue whether or not they made money. We're not even going to argue if the money is real. We're going to argue whether or not it made enough revenue. And then we're going to go, oh, by the way, this money doesn't matter because they make all of their money from their theme parks, from ancillary funds, from cruise ships. The stuff that we were telling people 3 fucking years ago, and their fucking fans would come in the comment section and argue with me. Matter of fact, there's several of them that still argue with me that the box office is the biggest metric for success for these companies. And we keep saying, no, it's merch. They make much more money on merch. So why in the world would they care about a slightly underperforming box office? Why would they give a shit? And their fans fight back tooth and nail. Well, blah, blah, blah. It's a failure. It's a flop. Marvel's dead. Disney's dead. Star Wars is dead. And then we have Jesterbell and now Big Dog Nerdrotic coming along and going, these numbers don't really matter because they make more money in these other things. I want to run this back because I feel so fucking vindicated here when these guys admit the thing that their fans were fighting with me and everybody else in the comments about.
What's carried Disney over these years is their experiences, their cruise ships, their parks. That's been where the profit comes from. Their actual studio doesn't make a ton of money. As a matter of fact, Disney is $46 billion in debt.
God damn.
Which is...
Let me fact check that. Hold on. So from what I can tell, even though they have this $46 billion in borrowing debt, perceived borrowing debt, which by the way hasn't accrued yet, Disney is still profitable. They reported a $26 billion revenue with $2.5 billion in net income. And for fiscal 2025, it was $12.4 billion in net income attributable to Disney. So even if this debt number does end up being real, they're still profitable overall. Because there's no company out there without any debt.
More than Paramount was, more than Warner Brothers was, and they care.
No. We're not going to do that. The debt that those guys have is not the same as the debt that Disney has. The possible borrowing debt over several years is not the same as the debt the companies have when they go to buy another company. That's a different kind of debt. But his audience is too stupid to know the difference. Dyad in the Force, good to see you. Film studios have borrowing debt because they never front any project. You talk to a bunch of rich people and they tell you they'll tell you they never you as in cash, they always borrow against assets. Exactly. That's why it's not real. I hate to say this. It's not real money. So Disney's debt is a perceived debt, but it's also debt while the company is still profitable. Paramount and Skydance has debt in raw dollars. It's a smaller company with less consistent profitability, and it's getting ready to gobble up another company. So Disney's debt is more manageable, even if they're trying to make you believe that the number is larger.
That now, I know that's part of business, and I'm a simple man, but I think carrying 40.
It's part of business, right? So in other words, you know that it's just gobbledygook, and you're doing it anyway.
$6 billion of debt isn't really great.
Sounds bad to me. I wouldn't want to have $56 billion in debt myself.
Well, you're a individual person This is a corporation. So that's a dumb comment. That's a dumb fucking comment.
Personally, I wouldn't want $4,600 in debt.
42 billion, but not that.
No. And
all these guys have debt. Everybody has debt. If you like everybody on this panel, if you're actually making money and you're existing in the world, you have some form of debt. This is such a stupid argument.
It's maybe it's just because I'm a simple man and I don't understand corporate economics, and they're always kind of running with some loan it's a shell game. It's a fucking shell game. But yeah, 17 years, 37 films, $33 billion. And we'll never see the likes of this again. This is an impressive feat.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane.
I want you to look at the movies. They have them all lined up, top, bottom, right? Bangers.
Notice that they did that after they did the whole statement about where the actual money comes from, because they know they can't really dispute a flat number like 33 billion. So they're trying everything they can. But now they're like, well, it's impressive. We'll never see this again. Because, yeah, that's the reality of it. This is one of those things where they're trying to spin it. They're not doing it very successfully.
The majority on the top, all of them all the way up, and then the bottom row is just brutal. It's just like, ouch.
Didn't they announce that they're basically ignoring everything after?
There are $1 billion movies in that bottom row. One of them was close to $2 billion. What are we doing? Really?
Endgame?
Yeah,
yes,
basically.
But the problem is you've got a fuck ton of characters that are in this movie that are from the era in between there. About 40 characters in this fucking movie are from the direct era in between there. So they are all about the messaging. Hey, guys, you don't need to think about anything else other than it's a sequel to Endgame, guys. It's the Russo brothers. It's another story in that saga. That's like their messaging. However, the movie's full of all of these characters that we got introduced to.
Right, because it would make no sense to just not have them there. But y'all are so stupid that you're like, oh, they should just ignore all the other characters and focus on like 4 of them. Come on, let's be serious.
In between that era.
So how many in phase 4 and 5, and I'm going to try to divorce myself from my opinion on stuff. How many genuinely successful things have they had, combining the D+ series and the movies?
Well, you can't really the series. You can't really talk about all of them in success because we don't know those numbers. We really don't know. I think Disney's only released maybe 1 show's numbers out of all of them. So all of it is trust me, bro logic. That's all of it. So there's no way to really gauge whether they were successful or not unless you're looking at the ones that happened because of fan reception, like Agatha All Along or something along those lines. Outside of that, it's really hard to gauge how successful they are. Most of them were 1-season shows with no intended sequels. So you can't go, well, they were canceled after 1 season because a lot of them were not intended to go beyond 1 season.
Spider-Man was Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home. Guardians 3 did break even. It had a big budget, but it did break even.
Eternals did save lives, so you have to bring that into it. Let's not forget that.
I was gay until I watched that movie, and then I was...
Oh, they're as always chiming in with some gay comment. I'm not trying to say as is something, but man, it's just everything with him is just gay this, gay that. Listen, he just immediately jumps in with some gay comment.
It did break even. It had a big budget, but it did break even.
Eternals did save lives, so you have to bring that into it. Let's not forget that.
I was gay until I watched that movie, and then I was straight.
Yeah, so gotta put that in there.
Wakanda Forever?
Doctor Strange mom?
No, it didn't make any money because it cost so much. It made $900.
It did make money. That movie was like a $900 million movie. What math are they doing that a movie can make $900 million and it's not profitable? These guys are jokes.
$150 million at the box office, and they told us it was a $200 million budget. And then we find out from the UK, tax stuff they have to file. They spent $450 million.
No, they didn't. I've got the numbers right here in front of me. They spent it was $349 in the UK. This is from Forbes. So it's $349 in the UK. They saved about $55 million in tax reductions, which would put the total production cost of the movie under $300 million. That doesn't count any other incentives they might have had. The only thing I'm seeing with the 450 number is a Reddit post. I see one for 415, I see 450, but 350 is the number that came from Forbes. So I don't know where he got 450 from in terms of, I guess he just went with the biggest number because it sounds more sensational, maybe. They received another 3.178 million from New Zealand in benefits of filming. There was some British Columbia did a 28% reduction for basic production cost and a 16% digital animation VFX post-credit eligible deduction. Those are just percentages. I don't know the dollar amounts on them. Hawaii did a deduction, 20% production credit on Oahu and 25% on neighboring islands. So another 45% total reduction cost from Hawaii. There was some sort of a credit in Victoria for VFX for what was filmed in part of Melbourne. These are all in the credits, by the way. These are all in the credits of the movie. Iceland also says that there was some sort of a credit for filming with their film commission. There's some sort of a reimbursement program there, but there's no specific amount, which is why I say a lot of these numbers we don't know the actual numbers for. So if the movie came in at under 300 million with just the UK incentive, you take another 3.1 million off from New Zealand, and then little chips here and there from all of those other tax breaks they had, upwards of 45% in some of the production areas they're in, the movie would come down significantly in cost, meaning that 955 million would be successful. I know it took a long time to get there, guys, but these folks are liars, and I do not like liars.
Holy shit.
And with the tax breaks, the final production budget was about $400 million.
No, it wasn't. That is a lie. That is a lie. I just looked it up. After the tax breaks, it was under 300 million.
So that's,
Brian,
that's on par with Avengers Doomsday.
Brian, I appreciate your information, but Discussing Film tweeted out that it had $200 million budget and it made 950. So I'm pretty sure it made a lot of money. Okay.
Well, I also don't think there was a $200 million budget. I think it was probably a little over 200 million, but it wasn't 400 million.
I was telling you, okay.
Shut it down.
And that's why this $400 million budget for Doomsday, I talked about the other day, it's bullshit. Like the idea that it only has a $400 million budget is bullshit. Infinity War and Endgame cost over $1 billion to make those two movies. It was over $500 million a piece. And that is confirmed by...
This is all like feelings-based statements. None of these, they don't have any information. They have none. They have none.
The Russo brothers and the tax documents from the UK. So the idea that people are pushing around this 400 million idea for Doomsday as if it's the most expensive Marvel movie in history, it is not. I think that Doomsday legitimately probably has between a $600 and $700 million production budget. Mm-hmm. If you just say it costs the same amount as Infinity War and Endgame, which there's no way, bigger cast, all this stuff, inflation, the way they make movies now, it's probably more expensive. Add on.
You have to add inflation to everything, Ryan. Inflation affects everything, not just the production cost. That's not the only number that inflation affects. They love to do this. Adjusted for inflation. Did you adjust everything else for inflation? Or just the production budget?
On top of that, fucking $80 million for the Russos for 2 movies. And how much is Robert Downey Jr. getting paid? $120 million for those 2 movies. More.
There's no public number, but based on current studio information, he's probably worth between 40 and 50 million per film. I just want to put this out there. Ryan Cannell's math is always wrong.
More than that, maybe. That's about $100 million you just slap on top of that production budget before you even start drawing up a storyboard, just for 3 people involved with it. You can't convince me that if Infinity War and Endgame cost over $500 million each, which we know they did, that Doomsday isn't going to cost over $600 million.
Is it just about money for these guys? That's the only conversation they ever have about any of this stuff, is how much money it makes?
No way. Garrett, see if you can find images from the trailer. I know there's a couple, like Steve Rogers has long hair. So they dropped the trailer yesterday. But as far as D+ series, I'd say the only one that I can think of that was a success, at least it sounded like it was a success, is the first season of Loki.
No, Agatha All Along was also massively successful. That's not the only one. They've talked about other ones that they feel like were successful. But it just depends on what your metric for success is. Like, that's why it's so subjective. Like, is it because of how many subscribers they got based on the show? Is it watch time? Is it fan reception? What is your measure of success?
It is the one that seems like it had the most viewership and maintained the most.
Didn't WandaVision do very well? Yeah.
Did okay. It didn't do as good as we thought it did.
Yeah, it didn't do well towards the end. WandaVision benefited because it was the first one, right? It kind of benefited from the same thing Mandalorian season 1 did. It's like,
this is the argument. It's always some sort of caveat to it. This thing only did good because of XYZ. That's the point. That's the point. All of these things being connected together and being promoted and being positioned where they are, these are all things that the industry does to help them be successful. Do you think they put a dartboard on the wall and go, when are we going to put out this really expensive TV show? Throw a dart. 4th of May. Okay, throw another dart. October 9th of 2028. Throw another dart. Like, no, these are all planned out things. They sit down and they try to set these movies and TV shows up for success. That's what they do. That's part of the process. To act like they just stumble into success because of being positioned in a certain place is really fucking strange.
brand new streaming service, everybody at home, a lot of people tuned in. Yeah.
Yeah, so they world premiered the trailer yesterday and didn't drop it. And I don't know why. I don't know why they're sitting on it. Maybe they don't want.
Because we have 2 other things coming up that they want to promote. That's why. I don't like it, but that's the most logical reason why, because of business reasons. Which you guys are the business guys. Is what you're discussing right now.
Want to steal Mandalorian and Grogu's thunder?
Doubt that. This would be a, like, look, they released the teasers pretty early in terms of when you would normally release teasers when they did. So, like, for now, 8 months out from release would be really early to drop, like, a big trailer. So my guess is they're waiting for, like, a more normal time frame. The standard is typically for the things that are shown there to not be shown for a while. Mando and Grogu is different because Mando and Grogu is in its marketing push.
Yep.
You know? And even so, they did show 17 minutes of footage that obviously is not released to the public for the Mando and Grogu panel or whatever.
But and this is just a teaser. I don't know if the description of it was, it starts out at the X mansion. I'm going off of memory, so if I get something wrong, sue me. Starts out at the X mansion, and there's like a voiceover, like this is something really bad's gonna happen. And we see Thor break Stormbreaker, or Doctor Doom breaks Stormbreaker. Shang-Chi is up against Gambit because that's the battle. We've all, oh God, I hope so. I really hope so. I hope he flings the ace of spades right up his butt crack and just blows him up.
I've got a full description if you want me to read it.
Yeah.
All right. So full trailer description. Xavier's school sign is shown lying on the ground as a voiceover warns something's coming. Something we may not be able to determine.
The world is changing.
Yeah. And the voiceover is...
Do these other guys just sit here and not talk? Like, I've watched a lot of these clips, and the vast majority of the people on the panel don't say anything. Like, are there just people that come on Friday Night Tights and just sit there? They don't contribute to the conversation at all?
Doom, I believe. Professor X then looks out his window, sees flames falling from the sky, clearly shaken by what he's witnessing. Dr. Doom appears to be the one narrating, complete with a slight accent, and he's later shown rising in another setting with his hood and mask on. The footage also reveals the new Avengers Tower And new isn't capitalized in this description, but I believe they probably mean the new Avengers.
New Avengers, yeah.
Right? Like we saw.
Now Thunderbolts.
Now featuring an updated A logo and redesigned with 3 spires. Inside the building, the Fantastic Four come face to face with Bucky, Ant-Man, Captain America, meaning the black one, and others.
Oh.
Meaning the black one. Got it. Got it. All right, we're going to end it there for today.